Hello, Maverick Currency traders. It is Tuesday. This is Rob, and it is the Currency Recap. Look at that date. We are almost done with July, and that means summer is almost done for those of you with kids going back to school. Those of you without kids or empty nesters like myself, you've got a couple more weeks left of that nice summer. In this session, we're going to be going over the news of the day. Not a whole lot went on today. We are right ahead of a Fed report, so things usually go on a little bit of a pause. We don't see big movements. That's exactly what we saw here.
All trades and analysis in this video are intended for professional traders only. This content does not constitute financial advice and is for educational purposes. This video is being released after a short delay due to Compliance Department review. Maverick members receive this content immediately as part of their daily trading resources. If you're ready to level up, consider joining Maverick Currencies. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits. You bring the skill, we provide the backing. Let's get into today's market recap and see how the pros are trading the currency markets.
So going into the markets, with the Fed meeting looming, we saw a little bit lower volatility, but we did see the first bit of selling we've seen in a while. One of the things we talk about at Maverick is sentiment. When news comes out, when good news comes out and the market goes up, that means it's good news. And that's what we've seen lately. We've seen, trade deals with the Japan deal and with the UK deal. The markets went up on that news. And then bad news would come out and the markets wouldn't go down at all. So that's called sentiment, meaning the market's in a good mood. It shrugs off the bad news, celebrates the good news. Well, this week, for the first time, I feel like we didn't celebrate good news. We got the US Euro deal and the market fizzled. And we got some more good news and the market fizzled again today. So that's kind of telling me, okay, we've had a really big run, and now when good news can't move it any higher, it's probably ready for at least a base, if not a pullback. We did get some US consumer confidence was above expectations. That is going to be taken into account when the FOMC meets tomorrow to announce interest rates. So typically before interest rate policy, and we've got 3 central banks announcing here in the next 24 hours, you can see these aren't great numbers. We like to see days where there's one that's at least a % move. I mean, look at this, really tight ranges. But the big stories were the Euro and Swiss franc have been the outperformers for the last 2 months. They got a little pop on the US Euro trade deal, and they've been weak since then. And the dollar and yen that had been weak are now actually rising. So I really like the negative correlation between the Euro currencies and the dollar and the yen. Whether that means up or down is the big question. And my big question in Forex is the run in the Euro and Swiss franc over? If it is, we're going to start to see some deterioration, and we're going to see some of the other currencies take over. Right now, it's dollar and yen, but it's most likely going to be some of these risk currencies that take over if we get weakness in the euro and the Swiss franc. So I like trading these 4 currencies, and I do not like trading these 4 currencies until we see something change. Going into the markets, S&P, VT, everything basically flat for the day except oil. Oil had a big jump. And if we go into cryptos, down 1%. So with the run that they've had, it's just not that big of a deal. The story of today is a little bit of selling, but nothing to be worried about whatsoever. And here's the chart. You can see we've had basing, breakouts, and then here we are. We've got this bearish engulfing candle. Okay, we've had some of these before in the past. This one didn't really lead to any selling. We had a little bit of a sell-off the day after, but recovered. So I don't see any big, huge turn in the market, but I do see this resistance at 6,300. We ran from 6,200 up to 6,400, giving back half of that. I don't see any reason why it doesn't give back half. So my target is, bottoming out at the bottom of 6,300. So I do think we have another day or two of selling on a chart. That being said, we are rushing headlong into major news here. And the first thing, we've got advanced GDP tomorrow morning. This is a first look at second quarter GDP, and you can see a nice bounce back. So 2.5%. Look, even if it's 2.1%, even if it's 1.8%, nobody cares. It's positive. And that was in the quarter where we had the tariff freak out. So whatever that number is, I don't think it matters whatsoever. We've got the Bank of Canada coming out, no change expected. We got the FOMC coming out after that. And then at night, we've got the Bank of Japan. None of them are expected to change, but of course, what they say in their statements is going to move. Plus, we have Microsoft and Meta earnings after the bell in the US tomorrow with Amazon earnings on Thursday. I said this last weekend in the currency room. I think the first part of the week is going to be a little soft and not really great trading, and I think the second half is going to be much, much better. And I think we start to see some nice movement. If you are trading Aussie, tonight is the CPI. So anyone who's trading Aussie, be aware. I don't think you should be trading Aussie because there's really not any great setups here. But let's go ahead and take a look at them. I'm just going to go down the currency baskets. I'm on a 4-hour chart with velocity scores. Yen, slightly higher. That's it, slightly higher. So if we had to give a score, I'm giving it a +1. Dollar, moving higher, but we got RSI starting to dip. We're probably going to get a pierce of a parabolic SAR. So having a pullback, but I would not mind looking at dollar on a pullback. Here's Swiss franc. Swiss franc is heading lower at the moment, and we don't see any bouncing coming into this whatsoever. So for me, Swiss franc short does look decent. Euro short, same thing here. We're basing here at the bottom after a fall. It looks decent on the short term. Going into pound, sideways. It's just neutral. There's no call here on this one. CAD, neutral as well. Yes, we had a little run, but that's really fizzled out. Again, nothing else tells me I want to be trading it. Aussie, obviously not tradable. Kiwi falling, but just falling at the slowest rate of humanly possible with lots of long lower shadows and lots of long upper shadows. You know what? I'll pass on that one. And if we take a look at cryptos, you can see all the cryptos are just sideways to slightly lower here. So, and they're not near any sort of bouncing areas, not near any sort of catalyst. When we take a look at the velocity scoreboard, I think it's a clear call that Euro and Swiss franc look weak at the moment. That being said, they've been the strongest. You expect pullbacks in those strong ones. The question is, do they bounce or do they continue to sell off? I think that any answer at this point is more than a guess. I will give you my guess. I actually think things have changed. The fact that that turn came on the EU deal, I think the Euro and Swiss franc are going to weaken, but I don't think they're going to weaken much. But I don't see them making new highs in the near term. That doesn't make a great short. It doesn't. And when I take a look at what I want to go long, the dollar and the yen, they looked horrible. They looked terrible. The dollar probably looked better than the yen. So if you're looking for a trade, if you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to make a trade anyway just because I'm an addict and I can't sit on my hands, then really the trade to make is euro dollar or dollar Swiss franc. So let's take a look at those. Now, hopefully I am not talking to a bunch of junkies. First, I put in the euro Swiss franc cross. And I put this in because I want to know which one is weaker. And right now you can see the euro is weaker than the Swiss franc. Because euro Swiss franc is falling, that means the euro is weaker. You can see it's a low base here. So it tells me that the euro is the weakest currency at the moment. So I'm going to pair that up against the dollar. Here is the setup. Let's take a look at it on a daily chart first. And you can see it actually does look like a decent setup here. It's actually surprising me that I'm like, oh wow, this is actually a decent setup. So we've got this support line right here. You can see we broke out, we pulled back. What was resistance became support exactly, failed to make a new high. And you can see we've broken down underneath that level. Okay, so next bit of support is down here at 114.51, which is, that's 90 pips. That's a decent size move here. So I do like this on the daily chart on a short. And on a 4-hour chart, we're getting a little bounce here to sell into. So we bottomed out down here at 115.20. We're bouncing up here to 115.50. We're still bouncing a bit, We still have green candles, but you can see long upper shadows telling you that this thing doesn't have a ton of momentum. So I do like euro dollar as a short. I think it's a decent trade. You're running into some major news tomorrow that, you're probably going to have to dump the trade before that Fed meeting, because I know I don't want to be holding dollar during the Fed meeting. Not with this kind of setup. When I have a beautiful setup, a great setup, and a profit in the bag, I love to hold during news, but that's not going to be the case. So this is a limited time trade. I don't think you're going to get that big of a move, but this is the best setup out there. So why don't we all just wait on the FOMC? Big news coming out tomorrow. Bank of Canada, FOMC. We've got Bank of Japan as well, plus those earnings reports. I think we're going to have a really good trading session. I just don't see the reason to get in now. I think getting in now, you're just going to sit through a lot of chop and really miss the big moves when they come. So I think it pays to be patient. Let's wait for that news to come out. Let's trade the trends after that. And it should be a good trading session. Thanks for joining me. Goodbye, everyone.